You could be the champion. You could be in the Hall of Fame. Good evening, Ghana, and welcome to Personality Profile here on Joy 99.7 FM. I'm Lexis Bill, and I'm so elated to be here this evening. I look forward to Thursday evenings because we get to celebrate amazing people. And tonight, I've got one such awesome guest for you. Yeah, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the next 1 hour with us. It's going to be great. Absolutely. You're going to love it. Now, the video for this conversation is live on Facebook, so you can actually get onto our Joy FM Facebook and share the link with your friends and fam so they can also join in and get to hear an inspiring journey tonight on Personality Profile. I'm Lexis Bill. So this evening I'm joined by an amazing woman, a woman who has not only shattered glass ceilings but has also become a guiding light in Ghana's corporate landscape. Yeah, she's the Chief Financial Officer of MTN Ghana, the first woman and the first Ghanaian to hold that title. With over 23 years of experience spanning banking, telecoms, healthcare, and insurance, she's a trailblazer in every sense. Now, beyond her corporate achievements, she's a champion for women in leadership, a mentor, a boardroom strategist, and a believer in the potential of Africa's youth and entrepreneurs. She's the president of the Yellow Ladies Network, and I'm sure a lot of them are listening this evening, the network of female employees of MTN Ghana. She's actually served on boards like Absa Bank Ghana, Phoenix Insurance, the Minerals Income Investment Fund, and has spoken on major platforms including the Harvard Business School Africa Conference. She's served as the vice president of the Ghana Association of Bankers CFO Network. She's a quiet force of impact, resilience, and purpose. And tonight, we get to know the woman behind the milestones. Antoinette Kwofie is my guest tonight. Hello, Antoinette.
Hello, Lexis.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Are you?
I'm okay. I mean, I was having a very gloomy day until you showed up, and the smile and the happiness. I was like, okay, what's this happiness from? Is it a birthday mood? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a month-long thing.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, actually, I might make it
goodness.
a year-long thing.
Well, you better.
Yeah, you only have one life.
Because I hear you enjoy your birthdays like nobody else.
I do.
So is it the excitement of all that you've lived for these years? Or is the excitement for the next floor that you're knocking on? You're almost knocking on.
Yeah. It's a combination of all that, I think. And, the older you get, the more you get to appreciate life.
Right.
And I think this year I just felt a sense of gratitude and a sense of anticipation, of course, of the next major milestone.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that.
Well, belated happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
So what should we get you? Should we get you the Maltesers or the Bounty Chocolate? Which one
Oh, wow. Where did you find that out? I do love my Bounty and my Maltesers.
Well, there you go. Okay, then we'll get you both.
I see you've done your homework.
Oh, I've done more than that. This is just a tip of the iceberg. Wait for the iceberg itself. Anyway, I'm happy to spend time with you. You have an amazing milestone, and it took a lot to get you here because you'd actually prefer to be hiding in a boardroom. Even when folks have closed and gone home.
That's me.
Yeah, but we're happy to learn about your story and all that you've done. Let me congratulate you on all that you've achieved in the corporate world. I don't know, are you at the point where you look back and say, look, I'm proud of what I've achieved, I'm fulfilled, or you're like, what's next? Let's go.
What's next? Let's go.
Really?
I look forward to, I actually believe that. And one of my favorite sayings is Jackie Robinson, who says, a life is only important in the impact it has on others. So I believe I have a lot more to give to this world, and I haven't quite scratched the surface yet. So I'm excited about the journey ahead, and I'm looking to see what other impact I can make in my life.
Chief Financial Officer of MTN Ghana, the first woman and the first Ghanaian to hold this position. Would you say that's your proudest achievement in your career?
Actually, the proudest achievement in my career would be a lot simpler than that.
Really? What would that be?
It would be about the joy. When I left my last role as CFO of Absa Bank, and speaking to my team and listening to my team, hearing them ask, what the next step would be without me, and realizing that I had made some impact in their life, enough of an impact that they wondered what the future would be like. For me, was one of the high points of my life, because it humbled me.
Okay.
And it just hit me that we leave footprints.
Yeah.
Life is a journey, right? We leave footprints, and we don't always realize what we are doing, but the little steps we take and the little contributions we make do have an impact. And for me, I would say when I look back, that's one of the highest points of my profession.
Did it humble you enough to make you tear up?
It did.
It did.
And I do cry very easily.
And the tears didn't make you stay back?
No, I had security men, I had office assistants walking up to my office on that last day to say they'll miss me. And some of them still call me.
Right.
And it does make me tear up a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope to see tears tonight, though. I don't know how.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Okay, we'll see. But that role, the chief financial officer, and being the first woman and being the first Ghanaian, I was just thinking about it really. What made it take so long? What would you say was the reason?
Well, I guess when multinationals typically like to see some of their own in roles, and I think, MTN has grown. It's almost 30 years in Ghana. Of course, we've seen Ariba, we've seen Spacephone, and it's evolved. It was a Lebanese company to start with, so of course I believe there were a number of Lebanese who held the roles, and then they left. It became an African company. There were a few South Africans, there were people from other African countries, and it's a male-dominated industry. There are very few women, at least at the top, and I guess it just happened that they never really found the right woman.
Yeah.
I like to believe, I call myself a product of grace, right? I like to believe, and actually my whole recruitment process and how I got into MTN makes me believe that the job was waiting for me.
Really?
Yes.
You want to share how it happened? I'm curious.
No. So I got a call from, I think then it was one of my auditors asking for my CV. And I said, what do you want my CV for? I hadn't brushed up my CV in a long time.
Okay.
But he said, oh, it's an exciting role. I said, well, did I tell you I was looking for a role?
So you are not looking?
I wasn't looking.
Okay.
And eventually, he was a personal friend, so I gave my CV to him. And he says, okay, it's MTN. I was like, oh, okay, MTN, that could be interesting. So I gave him my CV. I didn't hear anything from them. And then I got a call from somebody else. MTN are looking for your CV. I'm like, huh? Okay. I gave it to that person. Then I got a call from a headhunter from Kenya.
Okay.
And said, I saw your profile. I think you'd be great for a role that I have. I said, what role is it? He said, MTN. I said, I don't think they want me. He said, give it to me anyway. So I gave it to him. Then I got a call from a headhunter from the US.
Oh, dear.
Believe you me, no less than 10 headhunters called me about the MTN
serious?
role. And I still didn't get called for an interview. Then one day, the very first person to call me said, oh, they want to have a chat with you. And I said, okay. So I had a chat with them, with their chief HR officer. And then after we spoke, she called back and said, oh, my CEO wants to speak to you. I said, okay.
Now this is
this is getting
interesting, yeah?
And it was short notice. So I said, okay, let me speak to you. So I didn't prepare nothing. I spoke to the CEO. Then the following day, I got a call. My CEO's boss wants to speak to you. I was like, okay.
The CEO's boss.
So then I realized I had progressed through the process. It was a chat, so I didn't
and
even
all
think.
along, this wasn't even like, okay, we want to interview you.
No,
was it like,
I thought it was
chat with you.
Yeah. Until the CEO's boss, then his was like an interview, and it was a tough one. I was in an air-conditioned room and I was sweating.
Oh dear.
But we had the conversation. I thought, okay, they're definitely not calling me back. Then guess what? I got an email. Oh, the group CFO wants to speak to you. I said, okay. Then I started getting more confident at that point.
Yeah.
But I spoke to the group CFO, and then I didn't hear from them for maybe 3 months. And I bumped into the chief HR officer at a funeral, and she said, oh, you'll hear from us. I'm like, oh, I've forgotten about you people. I've moved on. She says, no. Then a few weeks later, they call and said, actually, you have the role.
Wow.
So let's talk money.
Oh, dear.
And I thought, oh, wow. And I wasn't sure. To tell you the truth, I went through the process, but I wasn't sure I wanted to move, right? I was intrigued about the whole fintech story.
Okay.
Of course, I was in banking.
Yeah.
And the fintech story was great, the way it was exciting. And then I thought, okay, I have transferable skills. Let's see how I can move that in an evolving in industry context, right?
Yeah.
Let's see how I can transfer my skills into another industry. But then when I had to make the decision, it was a tough one because I had prospects in my role.
Yeah.
I was comfortable. I think I actually had a secondment opportunity lined up, and I thought, should I go? Should I not go? I had to think, where would I be in the next 3 years if I go, if I don't go? And actually, my husband pulled up a sheet of paper and he said, okay, pros, cons, now list. And I was like, huh? Do we have to do this? But I did. And he said, I just want to make sure you're sure.
Yeah.
Eventually, I decided to take the leap, and I haven't regretted the decision.
I'm just curious. What was, if you had to point to one thing that you would say was the deciding factor, what would it be?
MTN was the largest company in this in this country, I dare say. I mean, it's one of the largest companies. It had, and the role itself was an expanded role of what I was doing. In banking, I worked with Treasury. In MTN, I looked after Treasury. MTN was a listed company, and so I got to deal with investors. I did deal with investors in Absa because Absa Group was listed, but this was me managing the investors directly. And I have a team of over 200 people, including drivers. I look after general services, facilities. I look after Treasury, investor relations, revenue assurance. So it was an expanded role.
Yeah.
I thought I could grow in the role. And I had been in that CFO role in banking for 8.5 years. I thought it was time to learn something new.
Right.
And yeah.
And
here I
we
am.
are. Look, congratulations. This is a very interesting story, and I'm sure a lot of people are taking cues from that. I think one of the morals is that please make sure you go to that funeral. Remind them you have given them your CV.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about young Antoinette. We'll get into the career a little bit, but I want to know about your upbringing, the early days. Where are you from, for starters?
I'm not sure whether I'm Gar or Fanti, to tell you the truth, because my mom was Gar and Fanti, my dad was Fanti. The Gars are patrilineal, and the Fantis are matrilineal, so I'm really stuck in the middle of nowhere. But yes, I would say that if you look at the constitution of my blood, apparently Fanti has the most. If you look at me, I think the concentration of the Ga is very pronounced.
In which way?
In every which way.
In the love for Kinky or?
Oh, I love Kinky. I like to think of myself as very Ga.
Yeah. Okay. How was that your upbringing?
Interesting. I'm the third of 5 girls.
Okay.
Yes. And
an all-girl house.
Yes. And interestingly, my first...
Must be a lot of chaos.
It's a lot of fun. My 2 older sisters are a lot older than I am. The one I come after is 11 years older than I am.
Okay.
And then I'm 4 years older than the one after me, and 13 years older than my mother's last born.
I see.
So yeah, quite an age
Yeah.
gap. So I'm a bridge.
Yeah.
I like to think of myself as a bridge. But my mom always had a full house because she always had someone she wanted to help. She had picked up from the side of the road, someone who worked somewhere, and she brought them in. So we always had a full house. So I always had a lot of adults there. And being one of the youngest, I think they used to send me a lot. I used to do a lot of things. So I mean, in recent times, one of my colleagues said, because you hate CCA in any way, any which way, yeah. But yes, it was always an active household. My mom was a very strong woman. For part of my young life, she was actually a single mother, and my earliest memories of my mother were of her working and working hard. She was a businesswoman. She worked at Ghana Airways, but she was a businesswoman. I remember my mother at a point sold tracks and tankers. She sold shoes. She used to drive to Benin and back to get stuff to distribute to people, to sell. I mean, my mom worked hard.
Wow.
And so I grew up with a mental picture of you need to work hard.
Yeah.
Hard work is a part of life.
Okay.
And yeah, I guess those were my formative years. I was a very timid child. No one who knows me today would believe that. Actually, they tell me. I would shudder. If my mom sends me into a room full of people, I wouldn't go in there. You literally had to beat me to get me to enter a room full of people.
So you were very introverted.
I still am, but you know, in life, if you learn to be a better version of yourself, and if there are things you don't, strengths you don't think you have, you can actually manufacture them.
Yeah.
I used to tell the story. I said you need to wear confidence like a cloak.
Right.
You take it and you wear it daily. Over time, it becomes a part of you.
Right.
And you can actually portray confidence to the people around you. And I think that's that's the mark of my life. Yeah.
What's one memory from your childhood that you still, let's say, remember and you smile?
My childhood that I remember and I smile. So I went to Bishop Auer School.
Right.
Yes, and I remember myself in my yellow and blue uniform. And I remember one day, for some reason, my younger sister and I got left at school. And we were there till it was dark. I think my mom thought someone had picked us up. And the person also thought another person had picked us up. So my mom came looking for us late at night.
Wow.
It was definitely after 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And by then I had held my sister and said we should start walking home.
Okay.
So we met my mother on the way home. We were walking at the side of Latebiokoshi. And we lived in a place called Togbekope. It was in Newman Proby, near Banana Inn. And when my mother saw us, the joy and relief on her face,
Oh dear.
I don't think I've ever felt so loved.
Wow.
And every time I think back, I that picture in my mind was a symbol of motherhood.
Right. Yeah.
And I have fond memories of that, as difficult as that experience was.
Yeah. I want them to zoom into your eyes because you're tearing up now.
Lexis, let's not do this.
I'm sorry. I knew it was going to come. I didn't think it would come this early.
Let's not do this.
But that's a very heartwarming story, and I'm grateful that you shared that. Yeah. If you're listening in and you'd want to send in a message, you can send us one on WhatsApp on 055-1111997. If you're on Facebook, you can actually put your comments on our video, and I'll gladly read them as well. Now, do you think if you had a brother, it would have made any difference?
Maybe, possibly would have. Actually, I have a half brother. In fact, I have half brothers on my father's side.
Okay.
Actually, one of my brothers is a big actor. Papa Isiedu. in the UK. Yeah, he's being featured in Harry Potter now. And
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That's awesome.
But I didn't grow up with brothers,
So
yeah,
from
we
Bishop,
learned to be boys.
yeah,
We learned that. So there was no, for me, I think the value in that was there was nothing like a girl's job and a boy's job.
right.
We did everything.
Everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah,
I get
that was value building.
Yeah. Good stuff. Now, from Bishop Bowers to Motown.
Yeah, 7 years on the Outlaws Hill.
Oh dear. Were you always inclined to do something finance related, or you had other career
No.
aspirations?
Actually, I wanted to be a doctor. I was a science student. I did A-level science.
Ah.
Yeah, and I always say one of the defining moments in my life is when in Upper 6, there was a box of guinea pigs and we're supposed to pick one and drown it or chloroform it and then dissect it. Oh boy. I still shudder to think about it, but I think that was when I realized that this thing ain't for me.
It's not for you.
This thing ain't for me.
I see.
Yeah. And then after school, when it was our turn, we had to wait 2 years because university strikes had caused a delay, right? And during that time, I tried all sorts. I applied to work in Ghana Airways as a flight attendant.
What happened?
They said I had to do national service first.
Ah, right.
And by the time I did national service, I said, I want to do uni.
Okay.
Yeah. And I went into University of Ghana. I did agricultural economics.
How did you choose that? Where, I mean, from your...
When I got admitted, interestingly, I got admitted into university. I got 2 admission letters. One said biological sciences. And that was the prelude to doing medicine, okay? And then another said agricultural science. And I remember I wanted to, because I was one of the few female science students, Dr. Mary Grant. I don't know if you remember her from back in the day. Yeah,
Dr. Mary Grant.
She had spoken to us in the science ladies at a point, and she came with other people, and one of the things that came up was banking and finance, and how you could do someone had done agricultural economics and ended up in banking and finance.
Oh, okay.
So when I got the agricultural science, I thought, okay, I could go and do agricultural economics and I could do finance because I liked all things finance, and I'm a numerical person. So I thought, why not? And that's how I got into agricultural science.
Share with me one thing that the University of Ghana taught you beyond the classroom.
I think that was where I started coming into being Antoinette. And actually, my mother was surprised the day I went home to tell her I was standing for JCR vice president. And she thought, I can't get you to go into a room full of people. How are you going to speak to people? But I did. I thought, let me stretch myself. Let me see how far I can go. And I still remember how I shook throughout the reading of my manifesto. But it was character building. And students can be mean, students can be adorable. It was a trying time. And I remember when I applied, I think after they had closed the they had closed the applications, a lady handed in an application, and the Electoral Commission actually received it. And there was a group of students who decided that was against the rules, and so they went up in arms. Unfortunately, I got caught in the crossfire, and people said I didn't want competition, blah, blah, blah. So I had to. It was a very trying time. But I think all of that kind of built me. And I won.
You won?
Yeah, I won.
Great.
I was the only female executive in that year.
Okay.
And I dare say that I achieved quite a lot during that time.
Yeah.
So.
You've gone on to hold many leadership roles.
Indeed.
Now across multiple industries. What has been your most unexpected lesson?
My most unexpected lesson, I would say, is doing it afraid. And well, I've spoken about the fact that you put on confidence as a
It's a
cloak,
Yeah.
and you learn from it. But when I got into banking, I went into Barclays at a time when they had just finished a rapid expansion program, and there were a lot of issues. We had to work our way through it, keep the bank afloat. So a lot of, and I worked very hard during that period, and I got opportunities as a result. I was head of business planning and analytics, and I thought I'd like to be a CFO one day, and so I believed I would need the financial controller job. And I told my boss I'd like a secondment opportunity. Interestingly, a few months later, a financial controller left, and I got an opportunity to act. And I worked hard when I got the opportunity to act. So anyone listening to me, I say, when you are given an opportunity, give it your best shot.
Right.
And work. Hard work and commitment always pays. Not because you want a promotion, but if you do it well enough, you will get other opportunities. So I acted in the role. They floated it. I competed. I got it. Barely 6 months later, my boss, who was a CFO, got an opportunity to act as CEO, and she asked me to act as CFO. And I thought, I'm barely finding my feet as financial controller. What business do I have being a CFO?
Yeah.
But I said, okay, I'm acting, so I'll do it. And I was double hatting. And someone told me at that time that for all you do, don't drop the ball. So I worked extra hard. And a few months down the line, my boss asked me, if the CFO role becomes available, would you be interested in taking a shot at it? Without thinking, I said, hell no. Because in my mind, I didn't think I had what it took.
Right.
I had a lot of self-doubt, and it's okay to have self-doubts. But I've also learned since then that as long as you don't let the self-doubt hold you back, it's okay. It keeps you humble, to tell you the truth. So I said, hell no. And she left it. A couple of weeks later, in the middle of the night, I woke up and I remembered something my mother had told me, that for all you do, try. Sometimes you learn, sometimes you win.
Yeah.
Just give it a shot. So I sent my boss a message in the middle of the night, and I said, I'll give it a shot if it becomes available.
Nice.
And then she called me in the morning and said, I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. And I did give it a shot. And I competed with CFOs from other markets, etc. And I got the role.
Wow.
And it's a role I did for 8.5 years. I grew in the role. I learned the role. I believe I did make an impact in the role. So I think doing it whilst afraid, doing it whilst shaking in my shoes,
Yeah.
for me, it's one of the greatest lessons I have learned. And I continue to advise people, and I continue to do it afraid.
How would you describe your leadership style?
I'll describe my leadership style as a very open one. And it's adaptive. I have found that you need different styles for different times. You need different styles for different people. But generally, if you see me with my team members, it will be difficult for you to tell who's boss. I like to have fun.
They tell me you're a great dancer.
I love to dance. I love to dance.
Yeah.
And so I joke a lot with my team, but when it comes to work, it's work.
Yeah.
And we've got to be serious. So, yeah, I would say my leadership style is an adaptive one.
Okay.
But I am people-centered.
Yeah.
And I like to lead with care.
Great. Lots of messages are coming in. I'm going to read some for you. You can
really?
WhatsApp us on 055-1111997. This is from Chris Osman of MTN Finance. And Chris says, Lexis, our boss is a woman with the drive and determination to succeed, take control of her life, and achieve her dreams. She's confident and independent, a formidable force who knows what she wants and knows how to get it and doesn't settle for less. She knows her worth. We in MTN Finance admire and appreciate her. God bless her. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
And Mike from Akosimbo says, good evening, Lexis. Such a great discourse. The parts she said, it was time to learn something new, really got to me. That's great. Edmond White. Good evening, Lexis. I'm grateful to God for Antoinette. She's so intelligent, hardworking, tenacious, focused, and human-centered. Wishing her God's unprecedented favor and consistent performance in her role. Edmond from Value Added Book Services. All right, Edmond, thank you so much for your message. So, I know you're passionate about the women empowerment. Who inspired you? Who inspired that in you?
My boss, Mrs. Patience Ashiano.
Really?
Yes, and my mother. My mother had all girls, like I said, and she was all about pushing us to achieve greater heights. Okay, and so sometimes people ask me, how do you operate as a woman? And I'm like, to tell you the truth, my mother brought me up not to see myself as a woman, to see myself as a human. And so for me, that, and she believed in empowering girls. And so for me, every opportunity I get to empower a girl, I would do it. And my boss, Mrs. Patience Ashiano, she's currently the group CEO of Hollard in Ghana.
Yeah.
She's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
And I dare say she's impacted many lives. She challenged me, she pushed me, and I think she believed in me even more than I believed in myself. And that made me want to give back and pay it forward.
What's one thing you wish more young women knew about leadership?
I would say, when I speak to young ladies, and I led the Absa Women Network Forum for a while, and we've set up Yellow Ladies Network. What I find out is that a lot of women second guess ourselves. Women want to get something 120% before they actually push themselves to go for it. But in leadership, there's nothing like getting 100% all the time. You will make mistakes. You will make some right choices. But those who don't take risk, actually protect themselves from the lows, but then they never reach greater heights. So what I would say to younger women, what I'll say to other women, is that leadership is a game of risk taking. It's a game of taking advantage of opportunities, and you must push for it. And what I usually say is, go for it, girl.
Yeah. There's a message from Emmanuel Latte that I want to share with you. He's asking, has there ever been a point you wanted to quit? Or what has been your lowest moment in your career?
Okay, lowest moment in my career, I would say, So I would say, I'll tell you about a point where I was a great performer. I was a top performer, right? Like I've said, hard work is a part of me, so I work hard. And maybe around 2016, 2017, I remember being told at the end of the year, because I had dual reporting lines, country MD and group CFO. And I remember having a conversation with my bosses where I got told, you did amazing. In terms of your performance, you were excellent. But we're going to downgrade you 2 notches because we think there's a bit more work to do on the behavioral side. And I remember thinking, but what did I do? And then a few examples were cited. I'm a passionate person, and I fight for what I believe in. But sometimes you learn that sometimes it's not always about fighting consistently. But I had gotten into a space where I realized I was fighting a lot. Someone told me that when Antoinette sends a message, an email, and it lands in group, everybody runs around. They don't want to open it. They're like, oh my God, a bomb is about to land, right? And when you upset me, I send you an email straight away and tell you exactly whatever. And I was told that I had been having a back and forth fight on email. And as a leader, you have to learn to control certain things. And that wasn't the right way to engage. You know, I was so low, so demotivated, I cried. I got into my office and I don't know, maybe aside the day my mom died, I don't think I have ever cried that. I was disappointed and I felt like my bosses had let me down. But when I was done feeling sorry for myself, and I took a mirror, a hypothetical mirror, and I took a long, hard look in it, I remembered something else that my mother had said. When she packed me off as an 11-year-old to Achimota school, she said, know thyself. Know where you're coming from. Know where you're going. Know your strengths, your weaknesses. So I took a good hard look at myself in the mirror and I said, okay, actually, I was demonstrating behaviors that are not right leadership behaviors. And if I want to be a better version of myself, I've got to take steps to change it. So I took steps. I made deliberate efforts. Actually, I had a peer coach, one of my direct reports. You know, sometimes I started when you upset me, I don't pretend. I don't know how to pretend. I've got to tell you how I feel. If not, I won't be able to sleep. But I learned that it's okay. I will type out the email, but I don't send it. I leave it. I come back the following morning. I'll read it. I realize, okay, now that I'm not in the heat of the moment, I can change some things.
Change the tone.
And then I call my direct report. I say, come read this for me. Does this sound like I'm fighting? And then he say, okay, Antoinette, change this. Okay, no, this one you've done well. And slowly, I started changing with deliberate intention. I was intentional about it. And I remember when I was leaving Absa, I had a few send-offs. And one thing that cut across was a lot of people saying they noticed a change in my leadership at a point in time. And that point in time was around the time that I had done that self-reflection.
Right.
I had done that self-analysis.
Wow.
So I made it part of my portfolio of things that I do consistently. I became more self-aware, and I believe it made me a better leader.
Amazing.
So it was one of the lowest points in my life, in my career, but I think it was a necessary turning point.
Yeah.
Because it set me up to do greater things.
That's amazing. That's a lovely story. So now all the anger, where does it go? Should I sign you up for boxing? I know the Bukum boxing arena owner, so because I still feel now you need somebody to channel the anger. You can't put this in the email.
You see, I still write and leave, and I think I've become more mature as well.
Right.
I've learned how to walk away from things that upset me.
When the rubber hits the road, does it sound familiar?
Who have you been talking to?
Antoinette.
Yeah, that's where the importance. That's what's important, right? It's not about the talk. It's not about speaking English. It's about where the rubber hits the road.
Interesting. If you're just joining us, I mean, we're having a very amazing conversation with Chief Financial Officer of MTN, Madam Mrs. Antoinette Kwofie. Yeah, and I mean, your story is totally amazing. I've got a couple of quick fire questions for you.
Hey.
But before we get there, there's something I needed to find out from you. If you could design one course that every university student had to take, what would it be?
Leadership.
Leadership, huh?
And leadership starting from self-leadership. And about leadership impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think nobody teaches us that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think a lot of us stumble into leadership. A lot of us learn lessons along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us never learn the lessons. So we have some very poor leaders.
Yeah.
And I dare say that I believe that one of Africa's biggest challenges is not having enough great leaders. And so I think if each and every one of us could be taught to lead ourselves, to lead our families, to lead our communities, we would actually have better versions of our continent.
I totally agree. I think it looks like for leadership, you get into the role, a lot of people get the leadership positions, and then now they're looking for leadership courses and what not to do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But half the time they would have finished displaying before. Anyway, it's a very, very good one that you mentioned. Quick fire round. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Coffee, tea, or something stronger?
Tea.
Okay. Your go-to song when you need a boost?
Now, it's Kim Paluta's, what's the one? I was dancing, actually, a few days ago on my birthday. I realized I loved this one about, what is it called? Click, something. I was dancing to it all Monday night.
By Kim Paluta?
Yes, Kim Paluta.
You remember how it sounds like? Is it
I'll find it for
Mama, you. Or is not that one?
Oh, I like that one.
Okay,
that's one of the ones I like. Makuma. Aha, the popping one.
Okay. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
That I'm shy.
No.
I'm actually shy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I guess the fact that my favorite pastime is lying in my bed with a good book or a good movie and some music.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, I had one that I thought you would mention, but I know you wouldn't mention that because I don't know whether you feel embarrassed to mention it, but I will mention it. I will mention it.
Okay, go ahead and mention it.
I should go ahead.
Yeah.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Antoinette.
Yeah.
How many years since COVID?
Now?
Yeah.
5 years.
So why do you still sanitize your currency bills before they go into your purse? You tell us, what is the problem? Calm down. we can help. Is it the OCD?
Oh my gosh!
You still sanitize your currency bills before they get into your purse?
I soak my bills in soapy water. Wrap them before it makes its way into my purse. Am I a neat freak or am I a clean freak? But I wash my hands a lot.
Well, that's
I sanitize my bills. It's just me.
Interesting.
Even when I get fresh notes from the ATM, I still do that.
I see.
Whew, this must be someone very close.
I've been thinking. I literally have been.
I can tell.
But I'm excited about it. Let's look ahead now. What's one thing you're still excited to achieve?
I want to, a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I set up a foundation to help pay for education for girls in Jamestown.
Okay.
Because I said my mom's dad was Ghana, and so her roots are from Jamestown. And each time I drive through Jamestown, it just hits me that I need to do something that my mother would be proud of. When I see young ladies who are pregnant, under 15, under 16. They're pregnant, or I see them walking around, maybe drunk, etc. I just wish I could help give them a sense of purpose. So if there's one thing I'd still like to achieve, I look forward to achieving, is to make that foundation a real living foundation that impacts lives.
Yeah. Amazing. That's a good one. And let us know how we can support, because that's a very good cause as well.
Sure.
Yeah, we'd definitely love to. Now, when the story of Antoinette Kwofie is told, what do you hope people will remember most, actually?
That she lived a full life. And she died empty. And gave fully in everything that she did. I tell people it's impossible to be agnostic to Antoinette. You can't say, oh, I don't know whether I like her or not. You either love me or you hate me. But I live life. I embrace life and I live life fully.
You have an amazing story, and obviously you are. If I told people where you were last weekend, they realize you actually have lived.
Hey, you've been digging. Oh, yes, I had a time of my life.
Actually have lived. Oh, you want to tell them what you were doing for your birthday? Girl, what did you see?
I was celebrating my maid of honor's 50th birthday.
Not yours.
She used to work. No. Of course, it was a prelude to my birthday.
To yours.
Yeah. But we took a girls' trip. My maid of honor actually started with Joy long ago.
Oh, really?
She
What's
used to do the traffic watch. Ashiokai Akron.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she turned 50 a couple of weeks ago. So we took a girls' trip.
To where?
To Bali.
Are you serious?
Yes. And
wow.
I sat on the jungle swing. Something I never thought I'd do, but what peer pressure does to you.
But I'm sure you loved it, huh?
I did.
Absolutely.
I did.
Great stuff. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure getting to know about your story. And I don't know whether you would want to share something with your team at MTN who are tuned in. I'm sure a lot of them are.
I love my team. They know me. They're crazy boss. I just like to say, one thing I say, Lexis, is the fact that, it's easy to be the face to be the one to win the accolades, etc. But I only do that because I have a foundation of many faceless people who support me. And so I really appreciate the people I work with and that work with me. And that's not just my colleagues at the exec level, but my team that supports me. I tell them that I shine because they allow me to shine.
Absolutely.
So this is an opportunity to give a shout out to the finance and services team of MTN Ghana, and actually to the finance department of Absa Bank.
Right.
I am because they all are.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been great spending time with you. Lots of messages. I wish I could read all of them. I got one from Nayeko Tete. He says, "Hi, Miss Tony. Princess here. Save some of the filler for our next outing." Well,
I owe you one.
Princess, I am going to be there for the next outing. Charles Harrison on Facebook says, "An epitome of determination. Kudos." Shadrach says, "Super lady, softest heart with a hard outer shell." Mercedes Delali Ashagbo on Facebook, "Hi sis, you're doing amazing." Okay.
Thank you, sweetie.
And Audrey Kobana says, "Interesting conversation, love it." Cynthia Fiamma is watching on YouTube. I love her already. She exudes so much confidence. She's so eloquent and she's down to earth. I dare say she is an inspiration.
Thank you.
Great. Lady George on YouTube also says, "Lady Antoinette is an inspirational leader. She gets things done. She loves to work and loves to reward. She empowers her team. And I love that about her." That's great. DJ Boyen Kimpaluta, because yes. I'm Lexis Bill. Thanks a lot for spending time with us here on Personality Profile. We hope you had a good time. If you missed any part of this conversation, get on our Facebook page. The videos there, you can check it out on YouTube. And next week, I'll be back with another fantastic edition of Personality Profile. Have a great evening. And Uncle Ken will be on your radio pretty shortly.